Will Miami land the quarterback that can take this roster to the next level? Well, we'll see, because yesterday was a big day in the transfer portal. We saw 3 quarterbacks come off the board. Cam Ward, he decided to go to the NFL. KJ Jefferson announced for UCF, and DJU to FSU. In this video, we're going to find out who Miami is targeting now that the dominoes have fallen. But first, Miami fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We talk high school, we talk transfer portal. It's all things recruiting 365. Need you to be a part of it. Hit subscribe for me, please. All right, let's bring on the great Gary Ferman from CaneSport. Now, Gary, what happened yesterday behind the scenes? These QB dominoes, they fell fast. Did Miami have time to make a play on KJ Jefferson after the announcement of Cam Ward?
No, and I never got the impression that that was really in the plan, Josh. You know, everybody wanted Cam Ward. We saw Florida State do the same thing Miami did. They waited. They weren't feeling pressured about losing somebody else. Cam Ward was the one guy. I think that there was a feeling that he's the top dude. And you know, I don't know if these are rumors that we're hearing today about Alabama off the loss, trying to talk Cam Ward out of going to the NFL, or true or not. But, you know, he's clearly the guy that Miami wanted, that Florida State wanted, and Miami was willing to wait for. And, you know, a lot of people are trying to say, oh, Mario Cristobal got burned by putting all his eggs in one basket. I don't see it that way. I mean, you know, this was the one guy that everybody felt was elite. They had the Miami Collective had an NIL deal already agreed upon with Cam Ward,
right?
And his camp, and there was a feeling around Christmas time that Cam Ward was going to come to Miami. Now, what we found out from our subsequent reporting was that Cam Ward wanted to go to the National Football League all along, Josh. This has been a 3-week drama with Miami and Florida State, but he wanted to go to the NFL, and his camp wanted him to go to the NFL. So the NFL was priority number one all along, despite all the conversations that went on for hours with the colleges, with the collectives. They've always been a fallback option. And nobody really realized that along the way. And I know that from the Miami standpoint, they certainly felt like that was not the case, that, you know, Cam Ward's talking to Jeremiah Smith. There was conversation about the two of them coming to Miami together, and Cam Ward asking Jeremiah Smith, if I go to Miami, will you come with me? And Jeremiah Smith telling him I would have to definitely consider that. So there were a lot of different signals that Cam Ward was serious in Miami, but at the end, where we found out after the fact was where it was always the time was to go to the NFL. Now, that said, I don't think he's hired an agent. So I don't see anything ending until that happens. I think other schools will continue to test. I'm sure might not stop until they're unsure that he's off the board, because, like I said, they did have an NIL deal agreed to with him. Florida State has moved on, obviously, with DJU. I like that nickname you came up with for him. But so Florida State has clearly moved on. Miami has not moved yet with a quarterback. Obviously, they need to in the next 2 weeks, and we'll see what happens.
Well, that brings me to my obvious point, is what's next for Miami at the QB position? Is there an obvious name right now? Are they waiting for somebody to hit the portal and then pounce? What's going on here?
I'm sure they're waiting to see who hits the portal before the portal deadline's over. That goes without question. There have been conversations with the Malachi Nelson people. Keep an eye on UNLV transfer Jaden Maleva. He is one to watch in this situation. I think that he has interest in Miami. I think it's somewhat mutual. And I'm not ready to say he is going to be at Miami, but I think there's a lot of opening there for that to happen. Beyond that, I mean, Will Howard's still on the board until he drops. You know, I mean, you can't rule out Will Howard. He has visited Miami. Miami remains in conversation with his camp. So this could go a lot of different ways, Josh. And until that portal window is officially closed, we don't know who else might go in there.
How do you factor in Malachi Nelson? He's a really intriguing name to me because he was the number 11 ranked overall player in last year's class. Now, he did have some injury setbacks this season and ended up being QB3 on USC's roster. So how does that factor in? Because Miami needs somebody to come in and play right away. So if they were to pursue a Malachi Nelson, do you think they would still need to take another quarterback that could play right away?
100%. Don't rule out Miami taking 2 quarterbacks, by the way. They don't have a lot on the roster right now.
That's true.
There's still some question what Ja'Carri Brown is going to do. And, he has been obviously saying and showing that he will probably stay at Miami, but he might enter the portal just to assess his options and keep them open moving forward. He can always go back to Miami regardless of entering the portal. So that's going to be an interesting subplot here. But, Miami needs quarterbacks. So you ideally would like to have 5 on your roster. Right now they have 3. So I wouldn't rule out 2 quarterbacks going to Miami.
Okay. Now, we've talked enough about quarterback needs. What about the rest of the roster? What do you think is Miami's next biggest need after the quarterback position?
They need a receiver. There's no doubt about it. They are watching very closely, see who comes in there late, and then they will assess. I'm sure they're building a board of wide receivers in the portal. Badly need a dude at the wide receiver position, so they'll be looking for that. I think they still need a defensive tackle, maybe even a defensive end. They'll be keeping an eye on those positions. So they've got a 2-week period here before classes start, and then they've got a week on top of that where they can get guys in late. So these next 2-3 weeks are going to be, I think, relatively active, with the caveat being that Miami doesn't have a lot of spots, Josh. They really don't. And they're going to have to open up some spots for, to go too crazy. So that might limit them a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a very intriguing next 2 or 3 weeks because those pieces that you talk about could be vital to Miami's season next year in 2024. Gary Ferman from CaneSport, thanks for dropping by the Inside Scoop, talking a little transfer portal with us.
Anytime, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.